Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And today, I have a great guest. But before I bring that guest on, I just want to let everybody know, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, let your friends know, let your cousins know, and get anyone who you think likes indie comics, get them in here. Let them see these fantastic creators. I just wanted to show something off real quick. These are some of my books. I just got these in today. Well, actually not today, but over the weekend. So if anybody's interested, you can check out the show notes and you can order them from there. But this isn't about me. This is about my guest, our guest, Jason Dube.
Hey, JD, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Jason.
Great being on your show. Those books look cool.
Oh, thank you. So Jason, it's great having you here. You know, I know you're out in California. You're taking your time out to talk to all of us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to ask you, Jason, you know, we brought you here. Let us know about yourself. What have you been doing? What are you creating? Like, why are you in the game?
Well, like we were talking about earlier before the show started, we both started back in '91. So it's been a lot of ups and downs. You know, it's a roller coaster ride. The evolution of comic book creating, especially for indie comics, is taking me all over the place. But so recently I've been doing mostly these crowdfunding my comic books, and it seems to be like the path that's working best for me right now. So I just did Genesis a couple months ago, had a really great crowdfunding on Indiegogo, and right now we are 5 days left on our Lilith and Mara campaign. Lilith and Mara being the original vampire and the original succubus, twin sisters that started all the clans of vampires and succubuses in my universe. So nice. Yeah, we're really excited that we were trying for a $500 mark, and we are a little over 3,300 now. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, and a lot of refreshing. You know, refresh. Did we get another one? Did we get
yeah, I know how that feels.
Yeah, right.
You're sitting there,
bump. You're like, oh, two more just came in. So it's a lot of fun.
It is. So let's get into this a little bit. So Jason, obviously you said you've been in this since '91, so you've been in this game a long time. What got you into it? Like what did little Jason do or see or encounter to say, yeah, this is the thing that's going to carry me for the next 30 or 40 years? This is the thing.
Well, I think I started a lot like a lot of the other creators that I've met as, you know, you're a fan first, especially as a kid. You know, you're collecting the books. You're really excited about seeing what comes next. And for me, it was always going to 7-Eleven every Friday and plunking down my $5 and get some comics, get some hot dogs, and play some video games. And but then it came into doodling because I couldn't wait, you know, a whole month for the next issue of Spider-Man or something. So I would be probably like a lot of us, we're in school when we should be doing our classwork, and we're doodling. I was doodling comics, like a full page 8.5 by 11 line paper. I'd make like, you know, 6 little squares on it, and I'd write my little funny potato looking characters that are supposed to be like the Marvel superheroes. But I would just create my own stories that way. And I never really thought of it doing it like a professional type thing until I got a little bit more into high school. You know, I've been making that way, and I'm making these little comic books and for my friends and stuff like that, just for fun. You know, maybe sell a couple, you know, little stapled, and it was original. One was making copies. I would just make an original comic, and I would sell them for 35 cents just for fun, you know, because I was like, ooh, now I'm making comics and people are buying them. But then when I got into high school, people were really asking about, you know, are you going to do this for a living and stuff? And I was like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And I started reaching out to other people that were interested in making comics. And my first comic book that I made was in high school. It was called The Dead Walk, and it was a zombie comic. And it just kind of went from there. From me drawing for somebody else, I decided, I got some stories in my head. I want to draw these out. So that took me on the path that we are on now, where I went to comics, which you know, when you first start out, you don't have a lot of money. Well, I still don't have a lot of money, but you'd make the little Xeroxes, staple them, and, you know, sell them at like, for me, it was started off with just people around me. I would sell them. And then as I grew, I started making, I think my first convention was ApeCon, was the very first ApeCon that came out. And I was there, and it was great because there's a lot of indie comic book creators right there making the little Xerox ash cans and comics alongside me. I mean, there were people that are doing the pro books as well, but that was great. And that's kind of where it started. And from the Xerox, it went to more of a professional look. It was black and white pages, but with a color cover. And I even had distribution through like Diamond and Caliber and stuff. That's back when distributors were fighting for people. And there was like 5 distributors, and they all kind of wanted a piece of the game, and they were asking me, "Ooh, put your book in." That was a lot of more fun.
Those are good days. I mean, those are good days. I remember there being 13 different distributors.
Oh, 13!
There was 13 of them. Yeah.
One, Heroes World.
Right, Friendly Franks.
Friendly Franks. That's right.
Yep.
Is there a Capital, or was that?
Yep, Capital City.
Right.
Yep, there was Capital City. There was a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a good time. Oh yeah, I remember. Oof, boy.
But then it goes to a single distributor, and when they're the only game in town, they can be a lot more picky. And then the indie, it's a little bit harder to get your books in there. Single distributor. And then from there, the distributor, I was telling somebody else. Then they started doing like online comics, like the digital comics, and now I'm in for doing the crowdfunding thing. So I've been going down this path, creating comics, and that's the important thing. It's just getting them to the people always keeps changing, but you just keep rolling with the punches, I guess, and find a way to get them out there.
Exactly. Now, so let's take it back a little bit. Like now, how many? You see, you went through 5 different distributors.
Yes.
So now we can talk a little bit about this, because I remember there was a time where I could sell 2, 3, 4, 5,000 books to those distributors.
Right.
I don't know if you how deep.
Quite high those quite high of numbers. I was always about maybe 1,500 was about where I was.
Yeah. But, well, if you only going through 5. That's
That's
yeah.
Still, they treat you like they're like, oh, we need you. Yeah, bring your books, or we haven't heard from you. Do you have a new book? Make sure you send it our way. We'll distribute it for you. And a whole lot changed after that. And you said you were going through how many? 12?
It was I think it was either 12 or 13 at the time. There was a lot of them, because there was like 2 or 3 of them up in Canada. There was, I mean, we had guys like we had Heroes. There was Capital City and Diamond, which were the 2 big ones.
Right.
There was Friendly Franks. God, who was the other guy?
Wasn't it Heroes World Comics Hawaii?
Yeah, Comics Hawaii. Wow.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
See, I mean, we can talk.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Comics Hawaii. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a list somewhere. I got to dig it out.
I still got a printout somewhere too.
Yeah, and it's just like I got a list of them, and it's just like
address to send your books to and stuff.
Exactly, and the big difference, back then to now is that we just have Diamond,
right,
and they don't really think about us. They don't care about us,
right. They can afford not to think about us. I think is the whole thing. They're making. I mean, I guess you only need the big 2, but they also have the other ones that are getting closer to that level. And, I think they're just like, well, we're making enough money off them. Why are we going to take a chance on somebody we're not sure of? Because that's kind of we're kind of a gamble. We can't guarantee we're going to have a book out every month, and we're not that caliber. So maybe that's where it is. But yeah, you're right, man. I remember a whole different story back with Diamond.
Exactly.
I got little cutouts from all the previews I got to do stuff with. And,
yeah, unfortunately, I didn't save that stuff.
I have like a scrapbook. I look like some proud mother or something, but it's all me, my stuff. Yeah. Different. And one thing I always think about too is the printing. Printing was a lot different for indie creator back then. You kind of had, like for me, I had to save up for a few months, really eat top ramen for a couple months, and put aside a bunch of money so I could send my books to Brenner, and get the books printed, because they had a minimum, I think it was 3,000. You had to print 3,000 books. And now you got print on demand, which, sometimes you don't even have to put any money in, because it's like they put it on a website or something, and then they just print them as they get sold, and then you get a little, a percentage of that. So that's just really nice. But also, you don't have to print 3,000 when you go to a print on demand. I think their minimum's 15 or 25 or something. So it's like, you can take that chance with a new book too. You're like, oh, I got a convention coming up. I'll print up 25 or 50 books and go to this convention. So, and I can still eat this month. It's like.
This is true. I mean, the only big difference is just the different cost ratio. A digital book will probably cost you a few bucks, whereas back then we were paying what, 30 cents, 35 cents.
It was 30 cents. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big difference. You can let go of those books cheap.
That's true. Yeah.
Like I sold recently. We had like a bunch of back stock from those days, and I had a retailer contact us, and he says, "I'll give you 50 cents
stock from those days."
Exactly. He said, "I'll give you 50 cents a book," and I sold this guy 2,000 copies. So here you go. And what he does, he just gives them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes
a lot of comic days and Halloweens, and just here, I got some comics for you guys.
Exactly. So that's crazy. So Jason, let's get back into you, man. So talk to me. Like what type of education did you go through? You self-taught? Did you take any classes?
Mostly self-taught. When I got into college, I went to junior college and I took a couple of figure drawing classes. But I mean, if you take a look at my style, you would never know it. But because it's so cartoony and kind of exaggerated, it's kind of, I don't think there's anything realistic this, but I can do that if I wanted to. I can do, sit down and do the model and the whole thing. And then also in junior college, I also took a lot of graphic classes because, as my mom always told me, being an artist doesn't pay. You got to do something like business or something. So graphic art seemed like having some kind of creative goal also in doing something that's going to, pay the bills. So I took a bunch of graphic classes, not really knowing what I'm going to do with them. Hopefully get some kind of, but from that, I was able to learn to, put my art into the graphic stuff and do photo manipulation and, just kind of helped me get my stuff out there in the new world, because it was like a whole computer thing that was going on. And that was, I still do the paper, I'm drawing. So scanning stuff in and manipulating it digitally was a whole new thing for me. But those graphic classes definitely helped me there. But mostly self-taught. Yeah, definitely self-taught.
Now, do you find yourself gravitating more towards the computer as opposed to just petted ink?
No, I mean, I don't have like one of those pads that people draw on and stuff. I still have like today I was doing 4 pages of a comic called The Blonde Assassin, and these are just, I mean, you can tell these are just real kind of rough pencils right now on 11 by 17, and I'm going to go through an ink right on top of that and scan that in, and then I'll send that to a colorist that will do a lot of the digital stuff. But I'm old school, man. I can't stop being old school. I mean, I've still got, and my pens aren't very professional. I've got like the marks a lot, and the Biz markers and the Sharpie. We're at an age too where I think everything's accepted. I know back in the older days, I wouldn't tell anybody what I was using, because if you weren't using a certain kind of pen and certain kind of ink, you were like, they wouldn't really consider you a professional or anything. Right. But now it's kind of like, well, as long as it comes out and looks good, that's kind of where I think it's accepted. Anything's accepted. You can use anything. So
yeah, they'll be like, where are your crow quills? Where are your brushes?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, and I could never use those. I could never use those nibs and stuff. I mean, I was so impatient. I couldn't dip it in and do it. Right. People that can do it, awesome. That's great. They know how to do the tools, but I just never was able to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll use these Sharpies here. Don't tell nobody. And sometimes I use them in a way where people go, "Ooh, nice brushwork," and I'm like, "Thanks, man, thanks."
That's it. It's like, okay, I'll take it.
Hey, all right, if you like it.
Exactly.
If I told you it wasn't a brush, would you still like it?
Right.
But yeah, so
let's talk about process. Like when you create your books, like you're the writer, the artist, you're everything, right? So
yeah, on a lot of books, yeah.
How do you break that down? Like how do you go from the genesis of a story, which is basically just an idea, to getting that on a page? Do you do storyboards, layouts? What's your process?
Yeah, now it's a lot more controlled process. In the earlier days, it was a lot more free form and just kind of, I have a kind of basic idea. I'm just draw and see where it goes. But now, yeah, I have to write out my, like a paragraph of what this story is going to be. Then that goes into a full on script, because sometimes I don't end up drawing it. I actually send it to someone to draw for me because I have like 4 different books going at a time. So I can't draw them all. But I'll take that script and I write it in the page 1, panel 1, panel 2, that sort of thing. And then I'll go from there, do the thumbnails, show you my ugly thumbnails again, and see, I break down each page like that, so I have a rough idea of what it's going to look like. Then I'll go from that and draw on the 11x17 on the pencils, and then ink those, and then scan those in, send them to a colorist. They send them back to me when they're done. Then I'll either letter them or send them to a professional letterer if I can't do a very good job. And then and again, my graphic experience, I'm able to take the final pages and pre-press everything. So I was trained for that. And in fact, I worked at a print shop for 6 years, so I know how to get everything right for the printer exactly the way it needs to get. So that was something that was good to learn that I used. But that's pretty much my process. When I'm not doing my own comic books, I work full-time as a freelance comic book artist.
Okay.
Scatter Studios, where clients can come in and they either pick, there's a list of artists that I have in my studio and a list of colorists, and they can basically, like a salad bar, pick and choose what they want their creative team to look like. And I have that same process for each of those artists in my studio. I want them to go through a thumbnail, pencil, ink. Well, sometimes it's a thumbnail, and then it's it's straight to the digital ink because they don't go old school like me. But I like to keep that process for that as well. And I find it keeps the clients in the loop. They're happy because they feel like they're involved on each step of the process. But also when they're approving each step, it keeps from the artist having to redraw anything too. So I like that process anyway. A lot of steps, but kind of keeps us all on track.
Yes. Now, working with so many artists, like, what are like some of the challenges that you sometimes come across as a creator, as a writer? Sometimes having to deal with, and you sometimes I'm sure you're bringing up young talent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're working with guys from overseas. That brings along its own challenges sometimes. What are the challenges that you can let other creators know, like these are pitfalls to try to avoid that I've already gone through? So
well, what I find for working with a new artist, if you haven't worked with them before, is to give them, first kind of see, have they done anything before? Not just for you, but for anyone. If they haven't, I would recommend negotiating for them to do, like, I have a test page for anybody that comes into my studio, because I want to see first if they follow instructions, what their turnaround time is, for each step, and also how do they respond to saying I need edits made, because some artists are no problem, I'll do that, and some are like, it's the end of the world, or sometimes, because some clients are like myself, I'm writing something, I have something very specific in mind, and I'm like, okay, this is how I'd like it set up. And the artist, being an artist, we all have our own visions, but when you're being paid to do someone else's work, you kind of have to, do what you're being paid for. But some artists don't like to do that. And so you kind of have to weed out those kind of artists that are not quite going to work out that well. So a test page is a great way to do it. So I would do like have them do a test page so you can kind of see how they work with you, and then you can go from there. That would be my to avoid a temperamental artist, I guess, would be a great way of putting it. Because there are a lot of very talented people, but not everyone has the chops to be doing this as a job kind of thing, because you have to stay on schedule, you have to meet deadlines, you have to do all these things, but you also have to work with people and be able to compromise and stuff. So there's a lot of that is kind of the big thing from being I want to do this for a living to now I'm doing this for a living. I hate it. So
right. No, I got you.
I do have I do offer like I let students from high schools or people that are looking to do this for a living, and I have internships where I just have like a kind of a list of things that they should expect if they're going to do this for a living. And that's way they can kind of see is maybe this is a good, this is something they do want to do. And I just offered this because I didn't have anything like that when I was trying to break in. So I feel like it's really helpful to kind of know where your strengths lie, because maybe they're not a full-time artist for comics, but they are really good with like the business part, or maybe they're really good at just doing the coloring or something. And this is a way that they can find that out for themselves.
Right.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I've worked with a couple of guys like that too.
Okay.
I do a test page and say, okay, no, that's not gonna work. But they could color.
Right.
And I was like, but this guy's good color theory.
I love this guy's coloring. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, okay, he has good color theory. He says, all right, let's try him out on this. I mean, with pretty good results. I was shocked. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I actually ran into my colorist that way. That I use him for everything now. But he came into the studio as an artist, and he did some projects and stuff, and I needed someone to color, and I noticed he had colored some things on his Facebook page. I was like, hey, that's pretty good coloring. Will you try coloring something for me? And he did. I was like, okay. How much would you charge for coloring? And then it went from there. Now he's been coloring for me for years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that you worked with Caliber at one time.
Okay, so Caliber Comics. So just like the studio that we were just talking about, Andrea Molinari, who did a comic book, he brought a project to the studio called The Shepherd, and so we did 4 issues of his initial Shepherd comic. Okay. And then later on, he took that and shopped it around, and Caliber picked him up. So, and now he's actually an editor over at Caliber, and I think he's also an editor at another comic book place as well. But it's cool now, because now we can say, oh, we did some work. A comic that we did is now at Caliber, so it's kind of like some clout,
No, what's funny is I actually have the first volume of that, and I just picked it up randomly from out of the previews.
Huh? I even got his T-shirt. That's a great book. Yeah. I was looking at your Facebook page today, actually, and I saw a bunch of your comic covers. I was like, man, this guy's got some good books here. I gotta check these out.
Like I said, I've been in it a long time. I've been working on the Oswald Chronicles. The other title I work with my wife is Tall Tales, and we've been doing it for a minute. But we're on the outskirts. We're way out on the fringes. As
a lot of us are, brother.
Exactly.
The Oswald Chronicles really caught my attention, the covers that I saw over there. So I wanted to, I'm going to definitely check this out.
That guy who did those covers for me is 2 guys. Well, one, the colorist, and then there's the artist. The artist is Donnie. Okay. I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I always brutalize it. I'm sorry, Donnie. It starts with an H, and I always, because it's really long. It's like Hari Wajaja.
Well, that's good. It sounds like you got it right there.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I brutalized it. But those are his covers, and I saw him on DeviantArt, and I was just like, this is really nice. And I contacted him. He gave me a price, It's a little bit higher than what I'm used to paying because I'm an indie guy. We're gonna, we got no money. But I was like, this dude's gonna get snatched up by Marvel and DC,
and he'll never be able to get his work again.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? Let me just bite the bullet and get it done. So that's how I ended up with those covers. And they look great. And then the other covers, my regular artist Jay Gonzalez, she's fantastic. She's out of Chile. I met her on DA too. So she's fantastic. And with Donnie, I just wanted to try something different. As far as the covers, just
they look phenomenal. They're very eye catching. Right away, I was just like, "Whoa, what are these? These are cool."
And the colorist, his name is Carlos Moreno. He's out of Colombia.
Okay.
So I just met him. He was another guy. I just saw him on DA. I was like, okay, can you do this? He was like, sure.
I met a lot of artists on DA as well. The artist that did my first few copies of Shadowhunters, Benny Jordan, I met on DA as well. So that's a great source. I don't know how many people are on it now, but I know I used to go on there all the time back years ago. But
they just recently changed their interface and it's terrible. So we'll see.
Oh no.
Yeah. So tell me about Lilith and Mara, man. I mean, what I remember you were mentioning there was this whole they were the creators of the vampire universe.
Yes,
all the tribes. So tell me about Lilith and Mara because I know you still got how many more days? Are you doing an Indiegogo?
There's 5 days left. I checked it today and I was like, whoa, 5 days left.
Right.
Oh, man. But no, it's I'm really happy and really pleased with how it's been doing. But Lilith and Mara, they were characters that I had way back in the 90s. I did a comic book called Scattered, and it's a supernatural comic, and it explores heaven, hell, earth, all the spirit world, all the supernatural. And Lilith and Mara were just kind of almost a side note in that series. And when I started doing my new comic book series, Shadowhunters, which is a supernatural comic about a werewolf girl, a vampire girl, and a witch girl, and they battled the demons, we start learning a little bit more about where these demons came from through the story of Lilith and Mara. So Lilith and Mara is characters that I've had for a long time, and I've just realized they are actually a big part of this new ongoing series that I'm doing. And I really just fleshed out their storylines and their origin, and I realized, wow, this is awesome. This is a really fun story. So it explains a lot in my universe. So it's a great. I started it out as a one-shot comic, just to like an origin comic, but I did it in a way that it instantly comes right out of an issue of Shadowhunters, and it sets it all up that it goes right back into the comic Shadowhunters right after. But it's a self-contained story, so you don't actually have to read Shadowhunters to understand anything about Lilith and Mara. It is his own story. So that's what that was all about. With the campaign, I do have a tie-in comic of Shadowhunters because there's a part where the actual books kind of intersect, but then neither one has anything. It doesn't need to have the other for it to make sense. It's not like one of those big time company crossovers or anything. So it just happens to crisscross.
Gotcha. Now, when I was reviewing your resume, which is long and impressive, like I saw a lot
for a while, man.
I know.
Long and impressive too.
I know. Well, believe it, I mean, I've done stuff, but I've mostly stuck to Tall Tales and Oswald. But it's just that I got a lot of both. But talk to me about some of these other books, man. Like, because I mean,
yeah, sure.
I'm new to you, so I'm like,
true.
I got to pick this stuff up eventually, But
my first comic was Scattered. Thus, the name of the company came from the comic title, and it's just like I was saying, it's a supernatural comic book. And I did that for, I would say, the first 5 to 7 years of doing this. And these are the books that actually were in Diamond, the Scattered series, and I got all the way up to issue 30 of Scattered, and then I started. I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to collect these 30 into like a trade kind of sort of thing, a big graphic novel, and I'm going to start over. I'm going to do like season 2 of Scattered. And so I got about 4 issues of the season 2, which only got the first issue into Diamond, because I think just about then was when they started becoming a little bit more of a powerhouse, I guess. So, say nicely. But after that, I did do. Okay. So the next book I did was called Panda Days, and Panda Days is a more of a comic book I set up actually for like a younger audience, because when I was at these conventions, my art style's very, I guess it attracts a lot of the younger audience because it's more cartoony, more very colorful and stuff. And so I had a lot of kids coming up and asking their mom, "Can I get this comic scattered with the demon on the cover and stuff?" and all these, I'm like, oh, I should have a comic that's more tailored to the younger folks. So I came up with Panda Days, which is a fun, just a cute, lighthearted comic book about a girl that's being tormented by these little random ninjas that no one can see but her. So when she's fighting them off, all her friends think she's dancing, and it's just kind of a cute, fun comic. And I really got into sort of my cute, chibi looking style for that one. And then I did 5 issues of that, collected into a trade. I did a comic called Caffeine Poisoned, which is about a young man that can never fall asleep. And instead of going to the dream world like the rest of us do each night, his dreams materialize into our waking world. And he found the only way to dissolve them and keep them from running amok is to touch them with something caffeinated. So then he ends up working at a 24-hour coffee shop since he doesn't sleep anyway, and have plenty of ammunition. And that's kind of like the first page of the comic. So the rest of it is just kind of a supernatural / fantasy kind of fun, quirky kind of comic book. And that was a 4-issue series. I collected that into a trade as well. Seen a pattern here. I do a couple of issues, throw them into a trade. I did a comic book called Comics versus Manga, which is about comic book artists and manga artists that are at school. They meet and they have to get along because they have to share. They have to share a same workspace for their little during school groups. So I created that as a way to. I have the short comic book for 16 pages that introduces the characters, and then those characters for the rest of the 30-some pages, they go through tutorials of how to do comic books or manga, or how to just basically draw. So like the first issue I did was they concentrated on the heads and faces and expressions and all that stuff, and I set that up for ages 9 and up, basically just how to draw, but also comic book series at the same time. So it's kind of an interactive comic book. That's cool. Sorry, you asked me how many things I've been doing.
No, this is awesome, man. Like I said, I mean, you've done a lot of stuff I want to know about.
And the next one would be Shadowhunters, which I told you about. It's the 3 supernatural monster girls. One's a werewolf, a vampire, and a witch. They band together to fight off a demon invasion of the city of Sacramento. Oh, I live here. And so unfortunately, even though they're battling, there's this organization that was set up to hunt down anything supernatural. So even though they're trying to save the city, they're being hunted by this organization. And that's kind of where that series starts. And that's an ongoing series even till right now. We're currently working on issue 5. And that's one I write and have someone else draw. So... And you can see why I have so many different things going, including the books I have to draw for the clients. So I'm very busy, but that's a good thing. I'm not complaining. I like being busy.
Well, yeah, it's better than not being busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You want to eat at some point.
Yes. I think that's about everything. But yeah, and then I did the Genesis one. Comic book that I did on Indiegogo a couple months ago. It was successfully funded, and that led me to think, okay, you know what? Let's try another one. And that's where I brought in Lilith and Mara for the second campaign, and this one more than doubled what I got for that one. So it's looking great. I think I'm gonna be doing this for a while. Okay,
cool. Now, is this your second Indiegogo?
This is my second one. Yeah. Cool. I originally did a Kickstarter once with Shadowhunters #3. And it was so stressful doing that one because you're the whole time, or at least for me, when I'm doing Kickstarter, all I can think about was, am I going to make goal? Am I going to make goal? Oh my goodness, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. We haven't made goal yet. And because all I can think of is all this work that creating the page and all this stuff, build up and reaching out to people. I'm not going to make goal and I'm not going to get anything. So after that, I vowed I would never do a crowdfunding again because I was just too stressed out. It was not fun. It wasn't fun for me. And then just last year, I kept seeing on Facebook, people were doing Indiegogo. And I had heard of that, but I thought it was more of a platform for like filmmakers because I work with filmmakers and they do their films on Indiegogo. Okay. And so I was like, well, let me see what these guys are doing. So I started clicking on this, and they were doing comic books, and looked like they were doing some pretty good successful campaigns. So I was like, and then when I looked more into it, I found out you don't have to meet your goal. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, what? And I was like, you don't have to meet your goal and you keep what you make. Okay, you know what? I'm going to try this again. I'm in. And that was when I did Genesis. And that was kind of my test. It was kind of like, if it was going to be another bad experience, well, now I tried them both. I'm not going to do either one ever again. But it was a great experience. And so this one was even more than better experience. So I'm like, I like this. And I met you. I've been meeting a ton of people from the East Coast that do other crowdfundings and stuff. And people are doing books. And I mean, as long as I know, I've been doing this for a long time, just like you, we've both been in the game, but I feel like I'm just meeting people. Like I'm meeting everybody now for the first time or something. Like what have you guys been here? Obviously you've been here. Where have you guys been? How come I haven't met you before? So it's great. I'm meeting a lot more connections and networking with a lot more great people like yourself. And so I'm really having a great time. So
no, that's awesome. Now let's roll it back a little bit.
Sure.
The Kickstarter campaign.
Yes.
You didn't make your funding?
At the last hour.
Okay.
We got a large donation. It was like $600 because we had a bunch of original art on there. So he bought all of them.
Oh,
whoever
nice.
It was, thank you, whoever that was. But we were like $20 over the mark, the goal. And it was a $3,000 goal, which I think, reflecting, not knowing what I was doing, maybe not such a great idea to do your first one at such a high tier for your goal amount, especially when I hear that with the algorithms, the way they work is you need to, if you can make your goal within a short amount of time, then you are like listed and shown off more, and that helps your campaign. So I learned to not put my campaign amount so high because nerve-wracking, I guess.
Yeah. I had a similar experience with my first campaign. I was like a 55. I put in 5,500. I raised it.
Oh,
but it was 30 days of hair pulling and begging and just like, please.
I never got my hair back. No, I hear
exactly. It's hard. It's rough. It's rough. I tell everybody. That's why now I put $500 and I'm like, that's it.
That's what I do. So if I make 500, that's cool. I can deal with it. That'll still cover everything. But,
So now, do you do a lot of conventions? I mean, obviously not now because of this whole thing that's going on. But
I used to do a lot of conventions out here in Sacramento. In fact, I used to help run the local Sacramento conventions. They have 2 Sac Cons, which are like comic book toys and collectibles, and then they had a Sac Anime, which, just like the name, it's mostly anime and manga related. But I used to help out with those. I'd do the Artist Alley and just help out with the vendors and stuff like that. And I did that for maybe 5 years. So I was doing those mostly because I was working on the shows, meeting all these great people, and I felt like I was doing enough shows that I didn't have to keep doing a bunch more. I did do like Stockton Con. And 1 or 2 here and there, but mostly I would just kind of do those core shows, and I would go to stores and do signings and stuff like that. Free comic book day. So not a lot of conventions, but a handful.
Okay, well that's cool. I haven't really. I do 2 conventions.
Okay.
And I think the only reason I do them is because a buddy of mine runs them.
Okay,
so
same boat.
it's like a friend of mine does. Like, all right, so I go to his shows. But other than that, I've just been Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and that's it.
Well, how many years have you been doing the Kickstarter stuff and the Indiegogo stuff now? I know
it's funny. Yeah, the first one was a while ago, probably about 7 years ago.
Okay.
But I did that first
one. You're a veteran here. You can school me.
Well, I did 16 of them already on Kickstarter, and I've done 3 on Indiegogo so far. But the gap, that first one to the second one, I think was 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how traumatized I was.
Oh,
I was traumatized.
Man, so your last Kickstarter was kind of like my first one. It was like,
right. Oh no, that was my very first one.
Oh,
my first one. Yeah, so that took 2 years, and then after that, from my second one to my third one, took a year.
Okay.
Then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna do this, and I finish one, I fulfill it, and I start a new one.
Yeah.
So that's
kind of what I'm starting to think my track is gonna be.
Yeah, because next week I have probably a new Indiegogo and a new Kickstarter that's gonna drop.
So you do them simultaneously?
Well, because I have separate books. So like, so on Kickstarter.
Tell me on how this works, buddy. I'm still learning.
Well, trust me, I'm learning as I go too, because I don't raise a lot of money, but you do enough of them, you get there.
Well, I think that's the key. I mean, how much would you make if you weren't doing these? Like if you were having to distribute yourself or get them into stores yourself or something like that? Probably nothing, because I hate doing that. Well, I love your honesty.
Yeah, it's for the longest time, it's been a very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Right. So I do it for myself. I love sharing it.
Yeah.
And I want to get it out to people, but I'm like, in the end, but that's why I love Kickstarter and Indiegogo, because it gives me that opportunity the more money I get in is just fuel.
Right.
It goes right into the engine.
And
exactly.
Your fan base grows, and it's great because they start bugging you when you're going to do the next one, and it's like, okay, I better get going, man, because I love it. Yeah, I'm really getting hooked on these. So
yeah, they don't have to bug me, because trust me, it's coming, and they know.
You're like, I've got 3 to do this year on this platform, and 3 to do on this year. Yeah, well, it's more like 4 or 5. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Because what it is, I have for the Oslo Chronicles, I'm probably 1,000 pages in. So
what?
Yeah, I'm probably like 1,000 pages into that story, and I've been stockpiling it for a while, so now I'm just releasing it. So I'm just like putting it out.
Had all the material already, so now you're just really.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to say it, genius.
Well, no, I don't know.
That you actually, and it's great that you have all that, and you have somewhere where you can release it to now.
Yeah.
I bet that you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm in heaven right now. Not only am I getting my book out, but I'm making money too.
Well, I wouldn't say all of it goes right back into the project. Right back in. All of it.
Not all of it. You at least got pizza money.
Sometimes that. I mean, but it's funny. I don't even, I'm just like, put it back in.
Oh, well, you love it, man. That means.
Oh yeah. That's my thing. But
pizza though.
once in a while. So here's the thing. Like, I mean, I know you said that, you probably set your goal a little too high. The reason I went back to Kickstarter was like, what are the I mean, do you have any other lessons other than that? Like, what do you think you could have done a little bit better to maybe prepared yourself to achieve that goal a little bit quicker or with a little bit less stress, other than bringing it down to $500?
A lot of the things, the the things I learned right away. Now there's 3 actually. I'm learning a little bit more each time, but definitely set the goal smaller. I think 5, like we were saying, 500 is that's a great goal to have. You're gonna make that. That's for sure, and it's gonna put you into the algorithm. It's gonna be good. The next thing you want to do is also contact people weeks before that you think are interested, or at least start promoting it on your social media. And then anybody that's like, oh, that looks cool, kind of like write it down or put a check mark or something, because then you can like make sure you send them a link and say, hey, remember that thing you said was cool? It's out. Check it out. Do me a favor and check it out. So that's another thing, is kind of doing that for a couple of weeks beforehand, so you have kind of some kind of fan base. When I went to do the Indiegogo last time, it was my first time on Indiegogo. I didn't have an Indiegogo mailing list or anything set up yet. So I've really kind of had to find my way through my social medias and say, anyone interested? Does this look cool to anybody? And then I would contact them. And then the last thing I think was shipping. One of the things I really screwed up on with Kickstarter when I did my Kickstarter was I didn't figure in the shipping thing right. And ate up some money. Learning that, because you still got to make sure you get your books to them, no matter if you screwed up on the shipping or not. That's on you. So you want to make sure those people are happy, that your fans are happy. You get those books to them no matter what, because they kind of are what's going to make your next one successful. If I did another Kickstarter, I didn't end up doing that, but you always want to make your fans happy and make sure you get them those books, because I think I had a lot of people from the Genesis. They didn't know anything about Lilith Amara, but because I got their books to them like in a few weeks after the campaign ended, they were so happy. They were just like, "Okay, I'm on. I'll get your next book. I know nothing about it yet, but I got your book." So it was a smooth transition. So those are kind of the key things I think are important.
Cool.
Now, you doing these all the time, do you have that middle of the campaign drought in your?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. One of the things that I've been experimenting with is just doing shorter campaigns. So instead of doing like a 30-day campaign, I've tried 14 days, 21 days. And I find 21 days works just as good as a 30-day campaign. For me, some people say 14 days. Sometimes you got to give people a little bit of room to really like some people you'll tell them, and they just might need time to get that extra capital to back your book. Sometimes
that's true.
Yeah, you just got to give them a little bit more time.
They don't even hear about your campaign till like the last week, and they're like, "Oh, when did this happen?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Exactly.
I've been talking about forever. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. The only thing that I really like about Indiegogo is the the in-demand store.
Yeah.
Have you used? I don't know if you've used it.
I used it last time, and I'm not sure if I'm using it correctly though, because I did the in-demand last time, and I set it for a week, just for people that maybe didn't have enough time, but it's kind of like a little window.
Right.
I manually stopped it after a week because I wanted to get the books out to the people that funded the campaign, and I wasn't sure. So how do you work that in-demand thing?
I use it like a store. So if somebody wanted like the books that I've already done there, if they wanted them now, they could just go in and order them, and then I get the notification and I'll just fill the order and send it out.
And so you just leave them on there forever, or just like
probably not, because the books I released, the comic books, they're limited edition, so they're limited either to 250 or 500 copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do make it a collector's item kind of thing, like it's something.
Exactly.
I was worried because when you were talking about a store, I was like, well, that makes it kind of not as special though, because like one of the things with the campaigns, it's you can't get this anywhere else. But that's good. You limit it to a certain amount, so it does become a limited edition. So it is still special. So you see, I need to talk to you some more. You've got some great ideas.
I try. like, and the thing is with those books, I tell everyone is like, this book will not be released this same way again.
Right.
So
right.
in the future, you may see it as a trade paperback, you may see it in color, you may see it as a hardcover, but you're not going to see it like this.
Not like this one, right?
Right.
I did something similar with this campaign. I did my Genesis book, and I did a second chance perk on this Lilith and Mara, and I said, this is a second chance for those that didn't get it last time, but the cover completely is different tones, and it's a virgin cover, which doesn't have the title, the logos, or anything else like that on it. So it's not the same book that they missed out on, because those are gone. But if you're interested in getting that comic, here it is in a different completely cover. So I actually had someone in the other Genesis campaign get that new Genesis one, because they're like, I want all of them.
Right, yeah. Sometimes I got a couple of those. They're like, I want that one. Yeah, just send them all to me. And
just give me
God
all.
Bless them.
That's my bundle, actually, is the one that's Give Me It All, it's called. And $50, you get all this huge amount of stuff. So seems like
that's really cool.
That the best. Like, they got our mentality. They just want everything. Just give it to me. Make it easy for me. That box.
So Jason, we're coming close to the end of this.
All right.
So if you want, let everybody know where they can find your stuff. Where's just all your websites, all your links is going to be in the show notes. But just let everybody know.
All right. So Lilith and Mara campaign, 5 days left on Indiegogo. You can check me out on Facebook, called Jason Dube, that comic guy, or you can go to Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr. All those will all be under Scattered Comics, one word. Or you can check out my website, scatteredcomics.com. If you're interested in having me or one of my artists or colors in the studio create your comic book, check out scatteredcomicstudios.com. And JD, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show, and I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And check out Indiegogo.
We're not done yet. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to get this portion over because I got all my goofy questions asked.
I'm signing off.
Yeah, I know, right? So listen. All right. So I got a couple of.
Do it.
Yeah, here's my goofy question. All right. So, you're an artist. So, you got covers. You're doing stuff for people. You as an artist, right? Let's say if you had the choice of an artist that you could pick, living or dead, to do a cover for you.
Oh man.
The budget is unlimited. It doesn't matter. Who would you get?
See, you do the whole living or dead thing. That really opens it all up. Oh gosh, I can only pick one.
Just one.
Well, I think I'm gonna have. Are you sure I can only pick one? I'll let you. Frank Frazetta and Todd McFarlane right now.
Okay. Okay.
And they're totally different sides of the spectrum here, which is why I'm like, But I would love to have one of them do a cover for me.
Okay.
So
that's
now,
cool.
I want to know who you pick. You probably have this answer already set up.
Yeah, my answer is always going to be the same. Arthur Adams.
Art Adams. I tell you my story about how I met him when I was 14.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
It was in line. It was at some like hole in the wall place. We stood in line. Here I am with my X-Men annual. I get him to sign it, and he's doing sketches on the backboards for everybody.
Nice.
So I have him draw me a baby Colossus because it was back when he was doing the X-Babies. And that guy was awesome. Sorry. I had to share.
No. That's awesome. All right. Now the next question, the next weird one. All right. So if you got the golden ticket and they called you up and they said, Jason Dube, step on up. Yes. And they call you up and they said, pick any book, any character from any of the big companies. What would you choose? Well, who would you choose, or what would you choose, or what book would you choose? What team?
Wait a minute. Okay, so I get a gun ticket to choose something to take home with me, or
No. Like if they said, JC, do you want to do Superman? Would you like to do
for me
Batman?
to draw?
For you to draw, write, the whole 9 yards.
Dang, these are great questions, and I have no immediate answers on any of them. I would love. Oh man, I guess I would probably love to try my hand at Iron Man. He was my favorite He was my favorite comic book character growing up as a kid. Mm-hmm. I made him a little paper mache Iron Man helmet when I was in like 4th grade. Cool. And I think just for the nostalgic to choose something, that's what I would do. I would love to draw Iron Man. And then second would be the Max.
That's interesting. Okay, that's a cool one.
You are all over the place.
No, that's great though.
Mm-hmm. It's scary up here.
Oh, I know all about that.
He's like, you're telling me, man.
Now, all right. So I'm gonna throw some comparative questions at you. We'll do a few of these. One or two of them might come with a and why. All right. So I'll give you an easy one to start with.
I always got an and why, so that's fine.
Godzilla or Gamera?
Oh, Godzilla.
Okay.
Huge Godzilla fan over here. My son loves him too, so it was great.
Captain America or Batman?
Captain America. Wait. Comic book or like media?
That's up to you.
Oh, come on, man.
That's up to you. I don't see that's the interesting thing about this. That I let you frame the question in your own mind.
It's like, wait a minute. I love the Captain America comics in the 80s, and I love the Batman on TV in the 70s. Not that I was, I was young in the reruns, but all right, Captain America.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick.
Here's a tough one: Burn or Perez?
Burn.
Okay, interesting.
Burn only. Gosh, you and these questions, man. You are killing me. I love Perez. But I love Burn. I love his style. Oh gosh, Burn. I gotta stick with Burn.
All right. Akira or Nausicaa?
Akira.
Okay. Cool. Manga or anime?
Anime.
Okay. Interesting.
You're like, these are the wrong answers.
No, there are no wrong answers. No wrong answers.
Most of these are all because of what I've experienced. I've seen a lot of anime. I may have read one manga.
Oh, okay.
I've seen Akira like a zillion times, and Nausicaa I think once. So.
Gotcha. Okay, well that makes sense. But if you ever get the chance to read the Akira manga, I would suggest it.
Really?
Oh, and the Nausicaa manga is incredible.
Okay, all right. Check those out.
Because Miyazaki did the Nausicaa, and it's like I think he's only done one other manga, and I do own both. DVD. So. Okay. There you go. Pokemon or Digimon?
Pokemon. I've never seen Digimon.
Oh, okay. Next gen or DS9?
Next gen.
Okay. Buffy or Supernatural?
Ooh. Damn you. I'm gonna have to go Buffy because Supernatural kind of lost me halfway through their seasons.
Okay.
But Supernatural, like, you know how they had the original story arc was like the first 5 seasons, and then it seemed like they just kind of try to figure a way to continue it. It seemed like, wait, who did we not kill off? Okay, they're gonna come back, and what do we do now? We already did Hell and Heaven. Oh, let's do Limbo. Let's do.
Yeah, they got into the weeds there.
But I I love both, but I'm gonna have to go Buffy because I stuck in with I liked all their seasons. So
gotcha. Okay, Kirby or Ditko?
Are you even allowed to ask these kind of questions? This is like explode mind.
Oh, wait till you hear the last one.
I'm gonna have to go Kirby.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go Kirby, the Godfather.
Gotcha.
But oh God.
Yeah. This will be the last one, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, you're like this poor guy. I can see his brain moving out of his ears right now with these questions.
Hellboy or Usagi Yojimbo?
Oh, that's not even. That's like apples and oranges, man. You can't do that.
Is it? Think of it like this: two of the most iconic and longest running independent comics.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Right.
And they were both Dark Horse,
both
right?
Usagi's currently at IDW.
Okay.
But they were both at Dark Horse for the longest time. Plus, both have had toys. Both have been on TV. Well, because Usagi was on the Turtles for a little while there. Right. So I mean, so that's why I'm saying it's like
I think of these characters though. I think of their storylines, and the storylines are like two separate entities.
Yeah.
For real. Gosh, really?
If you read enough Usagi, he fights a lot of supernatural, figures.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Hellboy. I'm gonna have to.
All right, cool.
I've drawn more Hellboy fan art, and only drawn one Usagi fan art. So,
got you. All right, so
Jason, thinking about this like all night, going, why did I choose Hellboy?
So Jason, one more time, let everybody know where they can find you and your work.
Okay, so I'm mostly on the social medias. Facebook's the only weird one where I'm Jason Dube that comic guy. I do have a YouTube channel. If you put Jason Dube in the search, you will find my channel. I do daily drawing videos. I try to do daily drawing videos. How about weekly drawing videos for sure? I am on Instagram, LinkedIn, DeviantArt, Tumblr, Twitter, all under Scattered Comics, one word. Or you can check me out at www.scatteredcomics.com, where you can find me or any of the other cool creators at Scattered Comics. And again, if you're looking for someone to create a comic book for you, check out scatteredcomicstudios.com, where you can select your own artists and colors to create the comic book for you. How's that?
Nice. Awesome. So thank you, everybody. Like I said, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know about this channel, and let everybody see all of these great creators. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.